Hi, folks, with Tacitus today. Tacitus Day, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about what's known as in American pronunciation, the Gen Z stare. For British and Australian audience, the Gen Z, but I'll use Gen Z for the moment. The Gen Z stare, the Gen Z attitude. Now, whether you get this in a professional setting or whether you get this as in business to business, or you get it in, say, a shop or in restaurants, takeout food stores, that sort of thing. It seems to be universal. Now, there are exceptions, but not many. I find this to be pretty much a universal attitude. Why is this so? Why would employers employ people with such shitty attitudes? There was recently a case, I think it was in the United States, where one employer asked that their employees, greet customers with an attempt to be sort of friendly and smile and how can I help you? All this sort of stuff. And this created there's quite a negative response to that. Why do I have to smile at those fucking customers, or that type of thing? So I come across this quite a lot, and at first I got rather irritated by it, and depending on the circumstances, but it's so widespread and omnipresent that I just accept that's how it is. But while we may regret that it's come to this, how has it come to this, and why does it continue to be tolerated would be more sort of my concern. Now, just recently, I was went to a shop. This is a chain store, and they had a very well advertised special. It's on online, the catalogue. It's on their printed catalogue, and all this sort of stuff. So I went in. It's quite a decent special, saving $50 or something. So I thought, okay, I'm around here anyway. I'll go in and get the item, thinking that it would be a very straightforward exercise. But trying to find somebody who was responsible for the department, that was a chore in itself, and no one gave a shit. I had to keep on following it up. Okay, have you contacted that person? Has somebody around that can do this? So I'm waiting around for a bit of time, just even getting to that point. Should it be that hard? I don't think so. And it wasn't that the attitude, they weren't 100% unhelpful. They just really didn't care. It's not my problem. Why do I have to get involved in this? If I can't quickly, push button solve the issue, and I've got to invest my time and I've got to go and actually do something, then I'm not interested. So, hey, customer, why don't you fuck off? Very much that type of thing. Anyway, I persisted and pestered, and finally they got somebody there, and they demanded, this is the employee of the store that's advertising the product, for Christ's sakes, they demanded that I prove it. So the onus was on me to prove to them that the item was on special. Now, they had the item actually on the shelf, but someone had forgotten, or it was never done in the first place, or whatever, had forgotten to put the promo poster or sticker on there. So they didn't know. Now, they didn't have a catalogue in the store, or they had a cut down version of the catalogue. So they didn't have the catalogue that you'd normally expect to be in the store. Now, because it wasn't in the catalogue, the cut down version of the catalogue, then the guy was, no, we don't have it. No, sorry, thanks, bye. And he's sort of ready to walk off. I said, no. The item is on being promoted by your company nationally, and I want to fucking buy it. I didn't use the F word, by the way. So he's not happy with this, and I got the blank stare of he's being sort of told what to do or instructed, and he didn't like that, clearly. Now, it wouldn't have got to that stage if he'd just done his job in the first place. But then it goes on to can he get online to look at it just to confirm, like his own company's online? No, it's the online, the online software for this sort of thing just goes too slowly. I'm not prepared to do it. My company doesn't provide the proper or usable software for me to check on this. So, do it on your phone. You do it. You do it. You prove it. So again, he comes back to this idea that I have to prove that company, I have to prove their own special exists. I mean, that's insane. So now they can't be bothered because the software isn't too slow. The guy can't be bothered because they haven't got their own catalog in store. So eventually, after some time of pestering, we're probably pushing half an hour by now. And I think, fuck me, if I'd known it was going to be this hard, I wouldn't have bothered. But given I'd invested so much time in it, then why not? But the blank stares and the snotty attitude they got in return every step of the way, I got that Gen Z stare of why do I have to do this just because you want me to? Now I don't know why this is. I mean, it's clearly the guy's job. His job is that if the company's promoting that product, I'm not asking for anything special or anything out of the ordinary or anything that doesn't include or isn't within his job description or is outside of the parameters of the service or the product that the store's offering. Like it's directly 101 mainstream. The company is advertising. They're making a big deal out of it. It's a feature advertisement. So all I'm doing is coming in, and yet it's going through this level of drama and constantly the stares. Now, why is that? I don't get that. Something that sort of I've thought about is that he's been told that the older people, I've got to be, I don't know, more than 30 years older than him, the store clerk, so, or even the people around him, they're quite a deal younger than me. So older people, they're the Nazis, they're the Trump voters, they're the people who they're the racists, they're the swastika wavers, they're the Sieg Heilers, they're the bad people, they're morally bad, morally evil, morally, they should really be taken out the back and shot. That we're not doing that to them just shows how caring and inclusive we are. Is it that? Because the look on the face was I thought it went beyond blank. There was a look of hostility there that was such that you're just an evil motherfucker. You're not a customer trying to buy something that's being promoted by my company. You're just an evil motherfucker. You're the sort of oppressor that my college lecturer told me about. You fucking damn Nazi. There appeared to be almost a malevolence in the dumb stare. But on the other side of it was, you're making me look stupid here, and I don't like that. Why should I go out of my way unless the company has all, my employer has all the checklists and all the push button quickies around me. If it doesn't have that, then I have to take responsibility. The responsibility isn't the systems or the companies, it's mine to do something about. I don't want that responsibility. You're giving me responsibility I don't want, and you're degrading me in some way, some ideological way. And what if I get it wrong? That means I'm to blame. If I deal with your request, then I'm taking responsibility. I don't want responsibility. I want to accuse everyone else of being a Nazi or a fascist. Now I want that, but I don't want to take responsibility for anything. And it seemed to be a mix of those two. They were terrified of the thought of having to take responsibility for something. Now, there are various explanations that get bandied around for that, saying, well, during COVID, these people, because they weren't socializing or had much less socializing, they were, their interactions with others were through the online, through the internet. So they were online interacting. Now, when you're interacting with people online, so the argument goes, you can stop and think. If you're playing a computer game, you can reset it or use cheat codes, and you can think about what you're going to say, or you can ignore somebody, or if you don't like what somebody says, you can ignore them or block them or something. So you've got all these devices, if you like, at hand to just eliminate anything that just doesn't suit you at the moment or suit your mood. But when the customers actually are physical customers in front of you, it's not an online call center or something like that. When the customer's in front of you, you can't do that. So you have to accept a level of responsibility and accountability and do things that I can't be bothered with this. No, I can't get away with it. This old Nazi is pestering me to be able to buy this product. Oh well, this is terrible. And so this inability to now why they would hire any company would hire workers, employees who had the attitude where if a customer wants service or a customer's looking for help, why should I deal with that? Or whether it's unless it's a simple push button thing, anything beyond that I should not be required to do, particularly if it involves anything that may smack of some sort of level of personal responsibility. But this idea of as being a customer, you have to prove to the employee of the store, so that the item is on special or it's available at this or that price. This has become now so widespread. I just assume that's how it is. Went into another store to get an item on special, and they had to call sort of one of the assistant store manager or something. This is a decent sized store that employs 100 plus people, and the system had to come, and then that had to that had to be I had to prove it to them that the product was on special and what it was, and have you got the code of the item? If you haven't got the code, I can't help you. Excuse me. Your own company's promoting it. They even send an email promoting it, and you don't know what it is, and it's the customer's responsibility to prove it. And these sort of things are insane, but it's widespread. Same could be for, say, even McDonald's or the takeout food shops. Generally, they have these various promotions and specials from time to time, and they send out. You can go onto their website and look. If you go into a store and say you want it, they just stare. You get the Gen Z stare. They just stare at you. I don't know. I've never heard of that. Did you have it? Can you show me? Can you prove it to me? What? It's your own company's promotion, for fuck's sake. Why do I have to prove it? Well, why can't you look online again? And then there's the eye roll and the sigh as if they've suffered some unspeakable oppression from them. So this is a wider Gen Z thing. And I think they haven't been trained to accept responsibility, and they've been trained to believe that the world is awash with Nazi oppressors, particularly people sort of over the age of 40 or whatever, and that why should they help Nazis? Why should I help just because a Nazi wants to buy something? But again, let's consider the human resource department of these companies. Why would you hire somebody with that attitude? Is the human resource department itself awash with these sorts of people? I was recently at a trade delegation thing, and there was a woman there, I don't know, mid-20s or something like that, and it was quite simple. I've come to speak to Billy Bob on the stand. I don't know where Billy Bob is. Okay, well the other name I've got here is Jimmy Jack. I don't know. He might be in later today. I don't know. All right then. Well, what about Billie Jean? No, she was here earlier, but she's gone. She might be tomorrow. Why don't you come back tomorrow if you want to talk to her? Cool. I mean, the attitude was, I don't give a flying fuck, was the attitude. So, all right then. Well, I pivoted off that. What I'm here to talk about is, such and such and so and so. It's nothing to do with me, and why don't you just come back later and see who's here? Again, not even the slightest interest in. Anyway, that's not something that I'd want to talk to you about. So okay, look, this is relevant. I've made an appointment. I've done this, so I'm trying to explain to her. Okay, this can you pass it on or take a message or send a text to them, something like that. Do you mind? Can you help me? And the look on her face, just she, this snotty, turdy teenage girl look just came on her face of, why don't you shut up and fuck off, you old prick? It was that. And now it was the Gen Z stare. It was in. But again, the don't give a shit. Why should I help you? Why should I take this on? And there was this cross between I don't care and a malevolence that, and then she mumbled something about mansplaining as I was trying to explain to her what I was here about, that she was then going to turn that into some ideological act of oppression. You're just a misogynist, patriarchal, mansplaining Nazi. It was that type of, again, so there's a lot of inbuilt attitudes today, and that have been around for a bit and building for a while, that go through not only the school system but through the college and university system as well, that confirms that it's a pitched battle, a pitched ideological battle out there between the straight white males and the patriarchy and this and that and the next thing. Why should you help your enemy? Why should you assist your enemy? Now, you may deign or lower yourself to do it if it's like really piss easy to do, but why should you go out of your way, even a tiny little bit go out of your way, when all you're doing is then helping the Nazis or the patriarchy? So that the dumb, insolent stare is now mandatory across so many different areas, and the public service in particular as well. But again, why would you employ people who don't want to help? I mean, some of the other public service departments, that sometimes have delegations of these trade things, talking to them is that they'll begin the conversation by telling you what they can't do. And there's a long, long list of what they can't do. And if you ask him, well, what can you do? You get the dumb, Gen Z stare back again. Even for people in their 30s, the going around dealing with various colleges and universities, they're the people inside their commercial departments and so on. Then it's even with people in their 30s and 40s, you even get it there. It's inbred in those sort of things. And again, they're not there to provide service or do this or do that. They're there to fight the social justice fight. It's a battleground, and they're there to do that. And if you come from outside of their bubble, you are the enemy, and you get this dumb, insolent Gen Z stare. So I think I see it as part of the wider move to subvert our institutions and our society, the family unit, and so on, by depicting just the general day-to-day existence in society as being a battle for social justice. And the only thing you can really do to make the world a better place is run around screaming and shouting Nazi and waving a placard. And the idea of giving service, as you're supposedly paid to do, that's just not on the radar. Only Hitler would expect that. You've been with Tassos today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.